today is on community engagement, advisory boards, and youth councils. On behalf of the Native Connections team and contracting officer representatives, Maureen Madison and Jan Domrod Cooper, thank you all for joining us today. Today, we'd like to ask you to put your name and cohort in the chat box and your affiliation. And we will have the lines muted today. We will come off mute if we need to have questions later on in the presentation. And feel free to chat us with any questions in the chat box or any technical difficulties. Please reach out to me in the chat box, Mark Taylor, and I'll be glad to assist you. And once again, welcome to the National Learning Community, Community Engagement, Advisory Boards, and Youth Councils. I'll turn this over to Candace for our opening in a good way.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be at. My name is Candace So, and I'm Navajo, and I am currently calling in from Gallup, New Mexico today. And for my Navajo relatives, my clans are Ashian, Nishlan, Tachini, Bashishchin, Kioani, Dashachena, Kadina, and Dashana. I'm originally from Nashchini, New Mexico, and however, I live here in Sundance, where with my husband and my two daughters. And so, yeah, that's me. I am a DTA. And I just want to go ahead and introduce myself this morning or this afternoon. And just for my opening today, I just wanted to take some time to express my just some concerns for our community here in New Mexico. I don't know if you, I know we all have social media, but I don't know if you've taking the time to hear about a forest fire that's taking place here in New Mexico near the Mescalero Apache Reservation in the Ruidoso community. And so, and I know that right now, yesterday, there was a forest fire that started, and and then the second one today that started again. And I believe there's over about 13,000 acres of land that's being affected by this fire. And right now, at this point, there's no 0% contained. And so I just want to express my thoughts, my positive thoughts and prayers for the people in the community that are affected by this forest fire, and also sending prayers for the people that are helping out to support the community. There's the firefighters, and then also the volunteers that are doing whatever they can to be there for themselves and for their families. And so I just, want to send safety for all of them, and then also nourishment and hopefully some rain, and so that way, Mother Nature can feel good again. And so, and right now, so I just wanted to mention that if you can take some time on your own terms to say a prayer for Mescalero Apache community. And so, so I just want to say that much, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our staff that will be presenting today to do their introductions.
All right, thank you, Candace, and thank you for remembering the Ruidoso community and the Mescalero Apache people in New Mexico that are being threatened by a forest fire. Well, thank you. I just want to talk about the agenda and what we're going to do today. So on the screen there, you can see these are the 3 GTAs that work together to plan this National Learning Community. Myself, John Bird, and Candace, who just said the prayer, and then Dr. Marty Richardson is working with us as well. And the person that you can't see on there is Mark Taylor. He's our virtual events manager, and he is going to be our tech guide during this National Learning Community. There's Mark. Hi, Mark. Wave at folks. So we put this agenda together, and we originally had the topic to be, we wanted to talk about community engagement, and community engagement is always an issue. It's always a topic. I was just on a grantee call with one of my communities, and we were talking about, they're a brand new Native Connections community this year, and they're going to be doing a GONA to kind of bring their community into the fold, to inform the community about the GONA, and also to get their input into what they think a suicide prevention program should look like in their community. So there's lots of different things that you can do with in the area of community engagement, and it's always an issue. It's always something that we're looking at. And so we had originally had two presenters, two grantee spotlights, and that dropped down to one grantee spotlight. The other grantee spotlight had an unforeseen circumstance come up, and they had to cancel out on us just today. And so we didn't have time to find another one. And so we're just going to roll with the presenter that we have. And I'm going to introduce her right now and bring her on. She and her co-worker, Matt, and they can go ahead and just briefly introduce themselves before they start talking. But, they're going to talk about how they use their advisory board, their approach to advisory board, and utilizing advisory board to increase community engagement and to get people involved and engaged in their project. And so Linda Kinsey is from Montana. She is the project director, the Native Connection project director at the Helena Indian Alliance in Helena, Montana. And she's originally from Fort Belknap, Montana, and that's just right down the road where I'm from at Blackfeet there. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Linda and Matt for the next 30 minutes. And then we're going to have a Q&A, towards the end there. If you have any questions, make sure that you write them down, and we'll get to you at the end. Let's let them do their presentation. Then we'll have some questions. Okay. Linda and Matt, take it away.
All right, thank you, John. Like John Barrett said, I'm Linda Kinsey, and I'm from Fort Belknap, tribal member of the Aani, the Grovant tribe. I started here at Helena Indian Alliance as a cohort 7 grantee for Native Connections. I'm really happy to visit with you today, coming from the state capitol in Helena at the Helena Indian Alliance. And I'll go ahead and have Matt introduce himself.
Hey guys, my name is Matt Hartnett, and I am the outreach specialist or outreach coordinator here for the Native Connections at Helena Indian Alliance. I grew up in Helena, but half of my family lives on the Fort Peck Reservation, so that's where I spend a lot of my summers. So I kind of have experience in an urban community as well as reservation community. So it's been fun to learn a lot and get more community involvement here in Helena, which has been a blessing.
Thank you, Matt. So our program started in 2020. We were funded for July 31st, 2020 through July 30th, 2025. So we are currently in our 4th year and just about ending up our 4th year for the grant, and we'll be starting our 5th year on July 31st. So we started pretty much right in the thick of COVID, and I started in October of 2020, retired as a program manager for the Addiction and Mental Disorders Division for the state here. And so pretty much Helena has a population of about 33,000. And so the Helena Indian Alliance is the only place in Helena where we provide urban Indian healthcare, prevention, and community services. So we do serve many tribes. We have tribes from all over the United States that we do come to our clinic and provide. They participate in our programs and our prevention services. So our program focus for our grant is to provide culturally inclusive activities to promote wellness and access to resources in the Helena area. We do outreach in the public schools. So I serve on the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and we collaborate with stakeholders. We provide suicide prevention information through outreach and social media. Our community goals are to distribute suicide prevention resource information and seek input through the monthly advisory committees. Like I said, some of our challenges were that we started in 2020, right in the thick of COVID, but through it all, we managed to have a fully participating advisory board. And so I'll talk about our advisory board that really helps us along with their experience, their compassion, and their dedication to suicide prevention. Do you want to comment on any of that, Matt?
I think you covered it over well, and I think that I think you nailed it when you said that our advisory board, we have three, and we'll get into it, but we have three elders that help and dedicate their time to making our program better. So they are always there with the planning. They even help with like some storytelling and some events. They're just awesome. They really are a backbone that we can lean on when we need some help and need some support. So I'm just thankful for our advisory board.
So we started off with advertising on Facebook, our social media sites, and also in the Helena community, right? I started in October, and we started advertising for an advisory committee in November. So access to students in the school system was really not feasible because of COVID. They didn't let outside organizations in, and most students were doing their classes from home during that time. So we thought we'd advertise into the community and see what we came up with. And we developed some guidelines just to, for the advisory, anticipating the membership of the advisory committee. And this is kind of a little bit of the format that we'd follow. So membership and recruitment, members will be recruited through social media and word of mouth. Membership is voluntary and open to those in the Helena Indian Alliance. 18 and under, parent permission is required. So the roles of our committee members will be available for monthly meetings and serve as advisory capacity to assist in developing action plans for suicide prevention. And then we have them just kind of sign on. And so we're ready for the next slide. I'd like to maybe show you some of our marketing strategies that we did use. And this was to more collect maybe or have some youth participants, because like as Matt said, we do have 3 solid members of our Native Connections Advisory Committee who are all elders. And so we were trying to get some youth involvement after we were able to access the youth more after COVID. And so we do, like I said, we do have the 3 original members who meet with us, help us, engage in activities with us and volunteer. And then we do have some students that do participate. So sometimes they're through community activities or volunteering. And this was just an example. I think Matt created this that we posted around the town and on social media. So, and we do provide a stipend for anybody that participates. It's in our budget. And so I'd like to maybe introduce our elders that are serving on our advisory committee right now. Our first elder, and all of these elders have been born and raised on their individual reservations and came to Helena through different occupations. Or our first elder is is Mr. Len Wheeler. The picture of him will be on the slide. Mr. Len Wheeler is a combat veteran of two active duties, of two wars. He is from the Seneca Nation, and he originally came here to Helena as an employee of Boeing and also serving in the Fort Harrison, the reserves there. He, like I said, all of our advisory committee are elders of different tribes, and Len is from the Seneca Nation, and he'll be one of the hosts of the participating in the International Indigenous Suicide Prevention Conference on Seneca Nation, so in Buffalo, New York, this July. So we're really proud of him. They honored him at the American Indian Veterans grand opening of the memorial that they did there last year in November, and he was one of the honorees. And so we're very proud of Len, and he provides us, he's always volunteering and he's always participating and gives us very sound practical advice when we're having our meetings and our activities, and we're really proud to have him. All of these members that we're talking about started with us in October of 2020. And I'd just like to have a side note that currently Helena, Montana is in what we would call a contagion stage of suicides, individuals that have died by suicide. And all of the individuals that did die from suicide were non-native, but we still support this community and do postvention work. And I'm right in the thick of the postvention work where I visit families, whether they're native or non-native, and all of these elders, especially Len, and well, all of them really provide some compassionate support and advice when we're going through these tough times, and even when we're celebrating, some of our activities and promoting, that culture of life. The next slide is about, it shows the kind of the back of, I wanted to show this slide because it's Rose Morrison. She's from the Sioux tribe from Pine Ridge Reservation, and that's her in the blue shirt with the short gray hair. I like that slide because a lot of times our elders, our advisory committee, they sit right with us, with our youth. And this was a youth leadership conference that we did here in Helena, and she's sitting right there participating with the youth. So Rose is, like I said, a retired dental hygienist, and she's also a grief support facilitator through a native grief support system that comes from her tribe in Pine Ridge. And so the next slide is a better picture of Rose, who again and her and Charlotte Kelly. They're sitting right with us with our youth presentations right there. And their presence alone really provides a lot of comfort and support, and we're so grateful for their participation. Charlotte is from Fort Belknap, and she's a retired psychiatric nurse, and she's Assiniboine, and she lives here in Helena, Charlotte Kelly. And so there's another picture of Charlotte proudly sitting with our native youth there, and we see Matt in the background with that picture. The next slide. So that's Charlotte. The next slide is a picture of Tim. Tim Coulter is Potawatomi. I took a picture of him. He did a presentation at our youth conference as well. He's not an active member of our advisory committee, but every time I talk to him and discuss issues with him, he's very understanding and knowledgeable. I don't know if he's a pretty much internationally well-known environmental attorney, and he resides here in Helena, and he does still work, even though he's close to 80 years old, as an environmental attorney. He has the National American Indian Environmental Office here in Helena, and I was so proud to have him address our youth at the leadership conference we had here at Carroll College, and he spoke a lot about his experiences with federal Indian law and helping tribes navigate through their environmental issues. And so I don't have too much else to share, and we, like I said, we're so proud to have these elders helping us with our advisory committee, and they've been with us since the beginning. And so some of you may have met them in Spokane. They'll be traveling with us in to the Indigenous Suicide Prevention Conference in Buffalo, New York, Niagara Falls. And like I said, Len is going to be on the host committee as he's part of the Seneca Nation. So we meet every first Monday of the month and have snacks for them and just have a very interesting informative discussion. And they do help us plan. Our first community readiness assessment was done in 2021, and I see Deborah's on the line here, and she really helped us. She was our first GTA, and she helped us navigate through that and understand that. And then we went in right into the planning and having our goals, and the advisory committee really helped with that and engaged with us on that. And like I said, some of our goals are to increase the youth participation. We don't anticipate too much youth participation in our advisory committee this summer, but we will see them on some of our activities that we got planned and things. And so we will start recruiting more youth and youth engagement as the school year starts up in this last year of our grant. And so if we have any questions, or if you want to add anything else, Matt, you're sure open to.
Yeah, I'll just talk about a little bit of the youth engagement portion because I was finally able to bring 2 students to the table for our meetings, and I just wanted to talk a little bit of how we did that. Is we started offering cultural classes to the Indian education for all students in the schools, and I have just became a bit of a presence in the schools where I'm there every single week, where I'm a familiar face where students will actually start to come up and talk to me, and they know my name and I know theirs. And I think that's been the biggest catalyst for having students start to show up to these tables and events is just having a familiar face there with somebody who's a constant in their lives, and it's not somebody who's in and out. So I do a lot of outreach into the schools, and I've gotten it took a lot of repetition, but it has definitely helped in a lot of the stuff we have planned, where these teachers are allowing us to come into their classrooms to talk to the students has been very helpful. So just trying to bring the culture to the students instead of, because that's how we've been able to have them come to us more, is by bringing it to them where they can see and they can feel like they can trust and have that relationship with us. So we're hoping to increase even more youth participation this next year, and I think we will. And I think our advisory committee will grow even more.
All right. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Linda. Are there any questions or comments for Linda? You can either take your microphone off mute, or you can just put it in the chat box. Any questions or any comments?
Hi, this is Julie. I'm a GTA, and so I work with grantees, and it was really good to hear about your community advisory committee, your community advisory board, because that is one of the things that some of my grantees are looking at, because that's something that they're going to have to do. They may be newer cohorts, and it's, like the youth advisory board is like a required element for like our new cohort 9. But I wanted to talk about how you described how your committee helped plan and went into planning and goals after you did your community readiness assessment. How you got your what was the method that you used to get your advisory committee to participate in your planning and developing your goals?
Yeah, we just followed the format, the tools that provided for us from the Native Connections Toolkit. And it kind of guides you on first developing, who your stakeholders can be and identifying those, and then going and taking the two lowest scores from the community readiness assessment and focusing on those as a guide, for your goals. And I showed the toolkit to the kind of educated the advisory committee on those aspects of Native Connection grants. And then we just went from there and talked about how we could set goals, what goals to set based on the readiness assessment. And they gave input to that, and also really contributed to the community, the stakeholder list, because they had been in the Helena community for quite a few years, 40 years for one. And so they knew some of them, at least one of them, Len, had served previously on the, because we're a nonprofit, so we have a board of directors. And so I was aware not to call our community advisory board a board, because we already have a board of directors. And so we call them advisory committee, just kind of semantics to not have people get confused that they're not the nonprofit advisory board for the Urban Indian Healthcare Center here. So we had a couple meetings, and they helped us, discern plans and goals and how to carry out those plans and goals. And we also had, like Matt said, we also did have some youth participate, and we got lucky because one of the barriers for youth participation was transportation, and so some of the youth live miles away, and their schools, aren't that close to us either. And one of the youth participants, her father was the manager of the local taxi company here, so that was like a resource that we could call upon because of her father being the manager of the taxi service here. So
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Julie. Anybody else? So Linda has another event to get to. That's why we kind of hurried up and got her on the agenda. We wanted her to get through her presentation, and I think she has to leave now.
yeah, well, thank you, John, and everybody for Native Connections. We really appreciate the time to visit with you. And the thing with the youth advisory committee is that not to get discouraged and be consistent, and persistent. And like Matt said, sometimes if they can't come to you, then go to them. And that's what we've had success in, and going to them in the schools and meeting them halfway. So and just continue to work on the barriers. Some of our barriers are still transportation, and some of the barriers are still active and continuous participation with the youth here when we compete with so many other things like sports and other activities. So we just try to be persistent and help engage the youth in what we're doing here. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I thought your criteria that you shared, I think that was great. I could see where maybe some of the other grantees may be interested. So if you all are interested, please reach out to Linda and Matt about that. I think that was really good to have the criteria up there and who's eligible and all those things. I think that's really important. So thank you for sharing.
Matt, did you have something you were going to add?
Oh no, I was just trying to say thanks for having us, and thanks for listening and being a good audience, and hope to see you guys next time. And I won't be on the New York trip, but I hope you guys can go up to Linda and talk to her more, and talk to our elders, because they have a lot of good things to say, and has a lot of good advice on just being a part of the Native Connections Advisory Committee, and they have tons of ideas. So if you guys are going into New York, I hope you guys can go up to them and have a good conversation. So thanks for having us.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Candace, are you on now?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay. You can go ahead then.
Okay. So the objectives for today, we're going to be discussing some important information on community engagement. And you're going to get a chance to hear from our presenter, Marnie Richardson. We're also going to be able to share some valuable resources that will assist you in terms of how to create advisory boards and youth councils. So yeah, this slide that we have up here, we also want to share with you all information about the Native Connections Resource Center. And this is a valuable resource for our grantees. It provides access to resources that have been developed specifically for the Native Connections program. And also, again, it helps to assist grantees with you all in meeting your grant requirements. This platform is utilized through Smartsheet. And as you can see on the slide, it shows a screenshot of what Smartsheet looks like. And materials are categorized by the type and topic. They also have been organized into sections of the Native Connections approach. So there are several ways on how you can find access to those resources. We do encourage grantees to take some time to visit the NCRC so that you can get access to valuable resources and information. If you do not have access, we do encourage you to contact your GTA. Next slide. And so for the purpose of today's discussion, we want to share with you several resources and also webinars and toolkits that will be of assistance to you. Since we will only be able to discuss certain items today through our PowerPoint presentation, we have resources on community engagement. We have a toolkit specifically to that. And then we also have information on how to engage older youth and rural youth in your community. And so, and then every webinar and podcast that we have, we do provide that recordings on the Native Connections Resource Center. And so that specifically talks about on how you can engage your community more within your Native Connections program. And so we will be able to upload these toolkits and items on the chat here soon. And if you're not able to get access to that, you can also locate them on the NCRC. Again, earlier mentioning what would be useful is typing in community engagement on the Smartsheet toolkit, Smartsheet platform. And so, so I'll hand it over to our presenter, Marty, so he can introduce himself.
Nahapipi, Dr. Marty Richardson, Kiko Hanase, Mima Halawasaponi Yesa, Holliston, North Carolina, Watiwa. My name is Dr. Marty Richardson. I am a GTA. I live in Hollister, North Carolina, and I am a citizen of the Halawasaponi Indian tribe. I'm gonna do a little kind of a mini teach, just taking out a little information from some of our toolkits and other information and do a little activity. So if you could go to the next slide there, Mark. So this is what's called the Hardwood Youth Engagement Spectrum. This information is actually in the Engaging Older Youth document toolkit. And so as you see, we have a triangle or a pyramid here. And these are the different levels of community or youth engagement. And so we'll go through them. Participation in programs and services, program organizational assistance, informal influence in program organizational development, formal roles in policy making and decision making, youth adult partnerships, youth-led partnerships. And so the idea behind this is that probably the most common type of youth engagement would be at the bottom. And as you go higher, the level of youth engagement is higher, but most likely less organizations actually use those types of engagement. Go to the next slide. So these are the first three stages, and we have a pyramid here still, but you can imagine that these are starting at the bottom is the absolute bottom layer of youth participation, which is youth participation in programs and services. And so activities, youth attend meetings and events, and youth are observers. And please, everyone, pay close attention because we'll be doing an activity here in just a little while. Benefits, youth observe the meeting practices, and youth can form a sense of belonging by participating in programs and services that you all offer. The next level will be program organizational assistance. The activities, youth help with meetings and events, adults initiate and direct, and youth are assigned tasks. So this is a case where the adults basically are in charge, but the youth are engaged. The youth do have some tasks, and essentially the adults ask them to do certain tasks and give them certain responsibilities. The benefits, youth gain some skills, for example, social competence. Number two, youth gain a sense of competence and confidence in doing those types of activities. The next level is informal influence and program organization development. Activities, the youth opinion is asked for, so you ask for the youth opinion or what they like to do. They're listened to, and sometimes what you ask the youth what they want to do, sometimes you act upon those things. The next is the benefits. Youth gain skills, for example, in problem solving and persuasion skills. Number two, the youth gain more competence and confidence in themselves, and the youth experience mastery by engaging and taking on some responsibility in activities that they're doing. Next slide. So then we go even higher on the pyramid of youth engagement, formal roles in policymaking and decision making. Youth receive leadership training. Youth decide in activities with guidance from adults. Youth may present proposals to advisory committee and/or tribal council. The benefits, youth are seen as valuable community members. Youth gain skills, for example, a sense of identity and ability to act independently and to have some control over the environment. So you're moving into an area where the opinion or the wants, needs, and wishes of youth are considered even more. They're allowed to present to the upper leadership of the organization or tribe, and so they're more engaged. Youth adult partnerships is the next stage. Youth initiate but share decisions with adults. And I don't know if these benefits are supposed to be together, but then of course the next stage is the youth-led partnerships, and which actions are initiated and directed by the youth. And the benefits of those: youth are valuable contributing members of the community. Youth develop a sense of purpose, future, including healthy expectations, goal orientation, motivation to achieve, educational aspirations, hopefulness, and hardiness. So our top level is where the youth have some platform to make decisions on their own, and they are engaged. So those are the 6 levels of youth engagement as evidenced by the Hartwood engagement spectrum. And so we're going to do a little activity, and hopefully maybe we can have a little bit of discussion as well. Go to the next slide. So what we like to do is, based on the Hartwood engagement spectrum, if you could share in the chat the level of engagement that your program currently has and why. So again, we'll start at the top, which is the bottom, actually the bottom layer: participation, programs and services, program organizational assistance, informal influence in program organization development, formal roles in policy making and decision making, youth adult partnerships, and then youth-led partnerships. Just take a few seconds to think about that, and just put in the chat, what level of youth engagement do you believe your program is in? And of course, if you'd like for us to cycle back to the slides, please just let us know and we can do that.
We have one. Marty.
I see.
Dominique shared, I think our program is in phase 3. We have youth participate in surveys and use their input in program development, but don't have an active council.
Thank you for sharing.
Dominique, for sharing.
Lacey Brooks, from Catawba, mostly one participation in programs and services. Um, our program engages 85 K through 12 youth that participate in weekly prevention activities. We have occasional surveys asking youth about their opinion of prevention and prevention programming. Thank you for sharing, Lacey. We'll give you just maybe about 1 more minute for you all. Hopefully some of you are sharing, or if you'd like to come off mute, please come off mute and share if you would like. Sarah Jones, I would say we are at phase 2. We have the surveys for our tribal youth completed. We are just looking to get their participation. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm going to ask, do we have anyone that's already commented or just has a burning desire to share about their youth engagement? Maybe provide a little information. Dominique, Lacey, or Sarah, would you all be willing to come off and just talk a little bit more about your experiences?
Yeah, Marty, I got you. Hi. Lacey, I think you were trying to hop on too. Do you want to go first?
Oh no,
We
I'll
got,
go after you. I'll
this
leave
is
it.
great. We got two. Go ahead.
Cool. So I work with Denver Indian Health and Family Services. So we're a UIO. So we're not a tribal organization. So that puts our activities just a little bit different than like the traditional Native Connections group. So our programming is always going to look a little bit different. This weekend, we were able to do what we called a super workshop. So we offered 6 different stations. All of them were culture activities, like everything from beading to we did card making for relatives. We had a wide array of participation. We did offer our youth survey for that programming development as an incentive-based survey. So we had QR codes available and then let any family know with kids from 10 to 24 that those were available. It was a $10 gift card they were able to receive. And that was like one of the original line items from our grant. I will say that even though it's a free and easy $10, a lot of youth still were not incentivized. So we ended up having to like kind of get their parents or guardians to nudge them a little bit for the survey. However, going back through the feedback that we got off of that survey, it was actually like really well-rounded answers, and they did put some thought into it. It wasn't just like, hey, sure, like typical teenagers shrug type answers. We did get some pretty good results. So that seems to be where we're getting good feedback is from like within those engagement activities. We had done surveys through our like a powwow event, the Denver powwows. And those survey results just like were not as thorough or as engaged as the ones we got this weekend. So that's where we're at.
Thank you for sharing. Let me ask you, how how could you mentioned that you were a number three. What would it take, or what are the barriers or challenges to maybe getting to a higher level of youth engagement?
Yeah, I love that question. That's something we've welcomed quite a lot of staff this year, and that's definitely something that was just hindered by the workload that our previous staff already had. I think that now that we're developing out some more of these roles and have a little bit more room on, on the plate for some of our people, that we'll be able to do that. We do have a good amount of youth connections and engagement, and we're integrated care, so we offer behavioral health. So I'd love to see a combination of like a youth group therapy as a youth engagement council. So the youth that participate in those therapy activities would be the ones that help us design, what we're doing for our youth and then for the generations behind them. I think that we'd get a lot of engagement that way. So that being said, that's just kind of like my thoughts. It's a little bit down the road for us, but I'm hoping that that's where we're able to go now that we're matching with our staffing needs.
Well, thank you. It's good that you are thinking about it and kind of have a vision already. You have to, that's where everything starts, is with the vision. Lacey, you want to share?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Lacey. I am the Catawba Nation's Youth Prevention Manager. We work with two boys and girls clubs on our reservation. So we have a K through 5 center and a grade 6+ center, grade 6 through 12. Right now during the summertime, our attendance is higher, which is awesome. We had a survey with the younger kids when I was the prevention coordinator. So back in March, we surveyed the younger kids asking what kind of activities they'd like to do. This time of year, we have a lot more teens than we usually have. For a longer span of time, we normally have them, they'll get off the school bus and get to the center around kind of 4:15, and then parent pickups start maybe an hour and a half after that. So it's a really small time block we have to work with them. During the summer, we are up to 35 kids, which is at least 10 higher than normal. Our overall roster is a little bit bigger. I think we have about 45 registered, but on a general day, we have 35 kids. So it's been great. We have sent out a parent survey. I was actually just talking to Marty about it, how to get a little more feedback. So we're probably about to send out some kind of incentive saying, if you fill it out, you have a chance to win a gift card, because we get a good deal of pushback from our behavioral health department on youth involvement with behavioral health from the parents. That's not something a lot of parents are always really excited for. So we've been working to kind of just communicate more clearly with parents, get them more comfortable with the program. So we're excited to get the feedback from that and also just engage youth. We've been doing a lot more less lecture activities, more like small group activities, conversations with the kids, like almost even trivia, just activities where they're kind of leading a lot more of the activities for the summertime. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Do we have anyone else's commented that would like to expand on what they said? We have a lot of comments. I'm happy to share them with you all. Maya Berger. We have Sarah Pearson with her hand up. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, thank you, Marty. This question is for Lacey. Lacey, hi there. Is it possible that you could give us an idea of what kinds of questions you're asking adults? You said that there's a lot of parents who may not yet feel comfortable with their youth's involvement in behavioral health activities. So we're surveying the parents. What kind of questions are you asking them? Can you share?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I'm going to pull it up really quickly. So the first handful of questions are very basic. They have the choice of adding their name. We ask how many kids they have in our program because we do serve K through 12 kids, how many years they've been participating. And then it'll go through the next session. They can say strongly agree, strongly disagree, but it's 1 through 5. So they can kind of strongly agree would be a 1, disagree would be a 5, and they can kind of fill it out on that spectrum. So We ask, given my child's background, their cultural background, we feel like the prevention program is a good fit for them. My child enjoys the prevention programming. We believe that prevention programming is necessary in this setting, kind of outside of like a family or school setting. We ask about how often we're communicating with them, if that's kind of meeting their needs, if they're comfortable with our curriculum, because we provide the full syllabus for them, and we ask if they're comfortable with everything we're reviewing with the kids. And yeah, that is most of it. And then also if they feel like everything that we're going over is age appropriate, and if they kind of enjoy the fact that we do social emotional learning and cultural based prevention as well.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? I'm sorry, I've seemed to lost my window here. I've got too many windows open. There we are. Do we have anyone else that would like to share at this time?
I think we had 4 that responded in the chat already.
Okay.
We had I
Maya,
can read them.
go ahead, Candace.
Maya Berger, she said, I'd say 2. Our youth advisory council gives some feedback and ideas on our programming. And then we have Valerie Bill. We are in phase 1, just now getting out in the programs and doing presentations with the youth. And then Caroline/Stephanie, youth committee, teach our young to learn the basic skills of running public meetings.
Awesome. Thank you. I know our presenters were talking about an advisory committee or advisory board. Do any of you have a youth council? How many of you have a youth council? And if so, how long has it been in existence? How did you get it up and running? You have anyone would like to share? Okay, well, thank you. What do we have next? Maya says we have a youth advisory council that I believe has been around for quite a few years, long before I started in December. Well, thank you. I think Michaela Steele Seifert says Saginaw Chippewa Tribe has a youth council. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been up and running, but we've had for a long time. That's good. The youth councils are really good. I'm really surprised when when I talk to individuals and grantees about Unity, how many don't know about Unity, which is the largest Native youth organization in the country, and they work with a lot of youth councils and promote youth councils. So that's another resource, I would say, to look into youth councils, youth engagement would be to look at Unity and other organizations like that to see how they always have toolkits and information on how to organize youth, how to reach the youth. Do we have any other thoughts on this topic? You have something, John?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to what you just said. I have several grantees just lately, based on we had the Unity folks come and do a presentation at the regional site visits, at the regional site visit that I attended a few weeks ago in Phoenix. They came, and so just since then, and because of that presentation and things, I have a couple of my grantees that are looking at using Unity to help start a youth group, that it it's kind of hard, I think, to start a youth group without any kind of a focus, and so their focus has been to start with Unity and get some of the kids to go to Unity, and then usually, like, what happens at Unity, kind of empowers them, and they want to do more on their own and stuff. But that's a process, that youth empowerment process. And so I just wanted to share that, that Unity can be a strategy as well, to help you to develop a youth council. You have to have I just think you have to have some sort of thing to draw and attract the kids and to keep them wanting to come back. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So Sarah Pearson put in the chat, just wondering where have programs found good examples with sound steps for starting a youth council. And I put the link to Unity there, and I'm pretty sure they have some resources on how to start a youth council there as well. And of course, it's happening in Portland in a few weeks. Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Do we have any other comments? Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the communities I'm talking about is one of the grantees is a local one here, the Tucson Indian Center, and I'm their grantee technical assistant. But they're looking, after the presentation in Phoenix by Unity, and they had never really thought that much about Unity before, but now they're going to, their short-term goal is to, it's too late for the Portland one. It's in like next week, or it's coming right up. And so their goal is to get it together and get some youth that they can take to the mid-year Unity conference, and it's just right up the road from us here in Phoenix, and that's like in February. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Do we have any other comments or thoughts on this topic here of community and youth engagement? Do we have any thoughts from any of our other GTAs?
Hi there, this is Julie. I just wanted to mention, thank you for mentioning Saginaw Chippewa tribe. It's Michaela Steele Seifert, because that's I'm a tribal member at Saginaw Chippewa tribe. And I remember when the youth council started getting going, I think they've got it's been an active. Now the youth that started many years ago are moving into leadership positions, and so they've been pretty successful. But currently, it's administered out of their cultural program, the Elijah Elk Cultural Center 7th generation program, and so they have a staff person that works with them, and they go to Unity, and they also they run for election, and I think that they are appointed by the tribal council, so they are like trying to raise tribal leaders through that program. But I just want to mention, thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it, Michaela.
Absolutely. Do we have any other thoughts? I want to hand it over to Candace, if she could, to talk us through topics for future NLCs or Native Connections events. This is our last NLC for the program year, and so we're looking for new topics. What are you all interested in? These national learning communities, GTAs talk a lot, and others, but this is for you all to do most of the talking and the topics that you all want. So Candace?
Yes. As Marty had mentioned, if there are anyone interested in learning more about advisory groups or youth councils or any webinar topics that would be interesting to you and that we can share with our staff, and so we can focus hopefully this coming year for the Native Connection to see. I know that we've had a variety of topics around a lot of valuable information on Native Connections approach. And then we also have, we do have some coming up in July. We have a webinar, the Native Connections webinar, that's going to be talking about traditional ecological knowledge connecting to spirit, land, and self. And that one will be taking place on July 9th. We also have another one on July 23rd, Healing and Building Protective Factors for Youth Through Indigenous Art. I think that would be a great topic. And then one more in August 8th, the topic will be aimed on naming ceremonies in youth wellness. And so, so those are some upcoming webinars that will be taking place. And so, if you have any suggestions or you want to learn more in depth of any topics that we weren't able to discuss this past year, you know, we really welcome you all to share that with us. If not, if you know, all of a sudden think about a topic later on after this webinar, you know, we really encourage you to contact your GTA and share that with them, and then we can kind of come together and learn more about those different topics.
Candace, I see a question from Elena. And she's asking if the slides can be sent. I don't know. Elena, are you talking about the slides from our presenter or the ones from Native Connections here?
For today, I was in the car, so I'm coming from the courthouse right now, and I was just wondering if these slides will be available to be sent to us if I requested this presentation for today.
I don't see why not. Can anyone else chime in about that? We probably have to get it from our grantee.
Okay.
But these slides here, I don't see why not. But you know, a lot of the information that was in here that I presented is in the Native Connections Resource Center. Go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share these slides, because once we have them on Native, you know, once we do a public webinar like this, you know, they are available. So that's not a problem to send them.
Well, the other thing too, Elena, is that the recording will be available. So so that you can have all that in the recording.
Okay, do I just leave my email address in the chat, or just in case?
Yes, if you could, yeah, put it there. And Mark, could you help her out? Could you help out to make sure she gets a copy of the recording?
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And then another thing I wanted to mention earlier, during the presentation, I went ahead and uploaded the toolkit, the community engagement toolkit, and then also information about the two topics, engaging older youth and rural youth. And so those will be, if you weren't able to get that, I can probably upload them here pretty soon. And then also They're also available on the Native Connections Resource Center.
Yes. So, thank you all. I think we're at about at our time of closing. Thank you all for your participation. Our closing today is for you all that that have participated. If you could put one thing that you learned today during today's National Learning Community, put that in the chat. If you, we'll give you a minute or so to do that, and then that will be our closing for today. And while you're doing that, I want to say thank you again to our presenters, Helena Indian Alliance, and also thank you for our facilitators, to Candace and John. And I don't know why I'm talking right now.
You're good,
Let me
Marty.
shut
Thank
up.
you.
Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's not close yet. People are putting some comments in.
So we have Dominic McKee. I learned the next steps for taking our youth participation from input to council. Awesome. Lacey Brooks, the stages of Heartwood engagement. And then Sarah Pearson. Many people like the work that Unity does. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.